Wait, I expect for quite some time. Now, a new draft land acquisition bill has been out there. It is being discussed. It is supposed to be debated, and suggestions are to be taken. And then there is a hope that this will finally set matters to rest. One of the most contentious issues that have been from the RSC, actually, he has just tabled his own land acquisition bill, and there is so you read the government bill and you see to what extent they will differ from yours and where you stand going forward. Give me a great pleasure to welcome Dr. Arif Kumar Sharma, who is the CMD of the Amrit Land. It recognizes that affected people are not just the farmers who own the land, but people who work on the land. So the land is dependent.
मैं इस नतीजे पर पहुंचा कि कार इसको वो किसान बना के जो पिछले 2000 वर्षों से सिर्फ खेती पर निर्भर रह करके उसे पलते हुए आए हैं, अगर वो बिल बनाते तो कुछ और तरीका होता। असल में बिल बनाने वाले वो लोग हैं जिनका खेती से कोई लेना देना नहीं है। कोई करा हम 2000 वर्ष बाद ये तय करने वाले हैं कि हम आपकी सारी जमीन दे देंगे, वो सारी जमीन लेने के बाद हम आपको पुनर्वास नहीं कर पाएंगे तो हम आपको पैसा दे देंगे और एक पीढ़ी के लिए एक व्यक्ति को रोजगार दे देंगे और एक साल के लिए 30,000 रुपए देंगे और अगले 30 साल हम 2,000 रुपए देंगे। तब मैं ये सवाल करना चाहता हूँ, क्या भारत का भविष्य अगले 50 साल में खत्म होने वाला है या भारत अगले 2000 वर्ष और जिंदा रहने वाला है?
Emphasize the whole land procurement process, makes it more transparent, gives it a sort of, a modern outlook. But at the same time, there are many things there will be a detail. So while it is welcomes it, I think, for example, how would you determine the market value?
At the end of the day, farmers may still not get a fair price.
Well, the farmers may not get a fair price, but also the
17-year-old act. Then there are big expectations. And when you look at why this new act was needed, the basic philosophy was that you have to restrict government growth. Let the land markets come forward by private enterprise coming and negotiating directly with the farmers. Let the landowners have the ultimate say. Let there be a stop on the misuse of the principle of eminent domain. I think ये लड्डू है, मीठा है, लेकिन थोड़ा बहुत इसमें जहर डाला हुआ है. Explicit mention of on the first page of the act in Article 1A, PGP. So it's very disturbing. The infrastructure has faults. There are enough tools which can be used to. Simple question is like, why are we making a new act? Because they've been acted. If this act was enforced, would the formula from circuit would it have been made to government acquisition? Yes. Would not extension, would all the land have been taken by the farmers for the purpose of organization? Yes. You have definition of infrastructure as mentioned explicitly: sports, tourism, health. It's okay. Let the private players come and set up hospitals. So why can't they buy land directly from farmers?
So your draft has a slightly different thing. You're saying 85% has to be already acquired before anyone says
yes. For consent. Let them purchase the land. If there's any encumbrance on the remaining part of land, then government has to sell. Okay. Jay, are you happy or unhappy with it?
Well, first let me point out that this is just in circulation.
That hasn't happened in some other cases, and in this case, it's about 6 years delay from when the land acquisition problem really started becoming a serious problem. Actually, it's been a serious problem for a long time, but they've been actually quite surprised as to how this country has propagated, for lack of a better word. 60 million people, according to some estimates, displaced by the 1894 Act, and actually it hasn't become the single most talked about issue in the country for a longer time. So, yes, the issues have come up, people have started talking about land acquisition now 4 or 5 years. Actually, the problem is big. But the reason is very simple. There are vested interests and lobbies who have actively worked towards delaying such a clarification of the issues because the 1894 Act, while it did not help genuine projects, was actually being misused in many cases to push through non-genuine projects. And if I think that said, what land acquisition should really be about? It should be somebody has to give up something but the country should benefit. That's not what's been happening.
See, I will tell you one thing. The last 30 years that I've been doing issues of identity, I have seen the acting to abuse and the government acting as a foreign master and dealing with its citizens as if they are second rate citizens. They don't require to have a voice. And if I say I want this land for a school, for a hospital, for whatever, then that's it. It is fruitful. But we have a new act today. We have gone through it in not very great detail. But I fear, from a lawyer's point of view, I fear that we are again going to get down bogged in a morass of people I have been doing an example.
So it can be held up. That is, they are for the national good. There is no doubt about that. And if a small minority, a tiny minority, holds up a huge project, which is going to employ thousands, I think there is merit in the government moving in and acquiring. But just one other thing, which is that I think what's been raised is lots of our laws are are very good, well-intentioned, but are way beyond the capability of implementing them. And the example here is that every sale in 10 years, you have to give 20% to the original owner, then farmer. In 10 years for a flat developed in Noida, extended to the land acquired to the farmer, I'm afraid not. It is just going to be open to all the users and everything it is.
Okay, Devendra, let me just get you a Devendra, do you think the new land acquisition bill, the draft is what we are really discussing out here, does it
don't find any accurate definition? Secondly, the definition of infrastructure. Here, housing has been included into the infrastructure, but
actually the point, versus something housing is fine for, but so that you can actually take out a land to be used for housing. That's precisely the point that you were making. Okay, can I just also come in and get all of your reaction on something which I think is perhaps most very lapses, if I can say that, in this particular bill. Do all of you agree that the 1894 Act was completely obnoxious and has been totally misused? Do all of you agree with that?
No, of course, more or less.
It's outdated. It serves
Has it been misused?
and not in conformity with the democratic.
We have not gone into the tradeware, or there is no provision in the Act to go into the tradeware definition of some of the things.
Why is it still, the new bill is all very well for all subsequent land acquisition that might happen? You could use strategies to ask this question. When it comes to the 60 million people who will be affected by the 1894 Act, now I understand you can't make everything retrospective because there are people whose lands have been taken away, factories have been done, their buildings have been under mention of the Act. But how surely when you were looking at it, shouldn't that have been more clarified as the proceedings starts again?
Definitely they repeal provision. It's only you kindly see that the last 2
It
years.
says 1894 is repealed, but it says that
Repealed, but if action is started under the old Act, it will not be continued under the old Act, but will be continued under the new Act.
Because we understand that clear.
That's very clear.
The understanding is that if tribal people in remote forested areas, etc., by big dams, etc., it didn't come into the public consciousness. One reason why it has come into the public consciousness is that because bigger farmers are being affected. And the person who was lost in this whole story were people who had contested land ownership. So
I'm trying to ask that what happens to those people, and मैं आपसे पूछना चाहूँगा कि ठीक है अब इसके बाद जो भी किसान है जिनकी जमीन जाएगी तो इसकी कुछ अवार्ड मिलेगा कुछ होगा जिन लोगों को पहले अफेक्ट किया गया है उनका क्या होना चाहिए? हमारा तो ये मानना है इसमें एक तो पहले सर्च पत्र जारी हो कि अब तक अधिग्रहण के बाद जो भूमि है वो कहाँ है और प्रभावित लोग कहाँ है। दूसरी बात हमारी है कि 1984 के बाद के तमाम प्रभावित किसानों को नए कानून में मिलने वाले लाभ मिलने चाहिए। Everything has been saying a lot that you need to look at what happened to people who've been affected earlier, because where does this bill lead those people? Absolutely. I mean, you can't tell one farmer in a particular area that now, you're going to get annuity and you're going to get this particular rate, and right next to him is his neighbor whose land has been taken away maybe earlier, and you're telling him that nothing can be done for him. So there's a secondary issue. In many cases, notification was issued, as he was saying, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, maybe even 40 years ago. Even our land has never been taken over, no compensation has been paid, but those farmers cannot sell their land, cannot build on their land, cannot do anything with it because it's under some ancient notice. What we've been asking for, sunset provision under Section 19 does not apply to this. What we've been asking for is all those matters where the award has not been given and where there's some dispute in the High Court. All those should be covered under the new law. Now, it remains to be seen whether explicitly it has not really come out in this bill, but what's wrong with that? Surely that should happen. I think there's no problem with that. But why hasn't it happened so far? I think that's it needs to be clarified. But, the problem about the free market, and I think that's really the central dispute, and, on paper, it sounds good to say the state shouldn't intervene and let the free market play. But what is it really going to mean? It means that when there's a free market purchase, the poorer, the more aged, let's not assume that the government, when it deals with those people, tribals, that it is any more fair than any company would ever be. Okay? Because it is commodities. Yes, everything is
In my state in Odisha, the Raupura steel plant was set up. There should have been a clear clause saying that no this prospective, measurement, measure here. And the fact that all the cases which have not yet been awarded, they cease to be under a land acquisition, period. And
From your point of view, what you're saying is that if the land possession has been taken, that's it. If possession has not been taken over, then it is a new law.
But I must repeat the earlier thing, which is that the free market chain looks very attractive, but that both sides with one, the weaker farmers, or the lesser ones, will not be able to get the price they want because the larger companies and the present industry will be able to drive down the price of the land at that point of time in quarter. But the other side is equally important. The new manufacturing policy talks about the national investment manufacturing zone, 5,000 hectares of them to be acquired. There could be a person sitting there with 2 hectares of land right in the middle. You just don't know. So in that case, you have to be able to do something. But I think the other thing is that as land gets acquired, prices keep rising. So until what, everybody will then just wait it out. There will be no land acquisition for any industry.
60s, 80s, 70s, etc. I think is the worst of all bargains which did use